Welcome to the FastRead podcast. Today is Friday, March 27th, 2026. Here are your top ALPA and industry headlines. Hundreds of uniformed pilots showed up to Newark, Ottawa, and Montreal airports to pay their respects to Captain Antoine Forrest and First Officer Mackenzie Gunther, the pilots of Jazz Aviation Flight 8646, on their final flights home. Quote, "This is how we honor and pay our respects to our fallen airline pilot colleagues," said ALPA President Captain Jason Ambrosi. "We mourn and turn our grief into action. No family should ever feel this pain. In honor of our fallen Union brothers, we will fight to enact changes that will make aviation safer." ALPA Canada President Captain Tim Perry said, quote, "Captain Forrest and First Officer Gunther were part of our family, the ALPA Canada family, the Union family, and our aviation family. Our deepest condolences go out to their families, their loved ones, and our Jazz Aviation colleagues. We grieve with you and stand with you as we work to make aviation safer." Today, ALPA President Captain Jason Ambrosi issued a statement calling on Congress to act immediately and pay Transportation Security Administration transportation security officers before departing for spring recess. TSA TSOs are expected to show up every day to keep America's skies safe and secure. They are still worrying about mortgages, childcare, and keeping the lights on, yet they keep coming to work without being paid. Airline pilots see it firsthand every time we fly. Colleagues showing up, doing their jobs. This is the third time in 6 months that TSA agents have been held hostage to a budget standoff, twice leaving them without pay. The only thing consistent about their paychecks is that they can't count on them. It's shameful. Congress has the ability to do the right thing, and it is long past time they did. The House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee announced it will consider revised aviation safety legislation in response to the tragic accident involving PSA Airlines Flight 5342. Quote, "While we appreciate the committee's work on the ALERT Act, this legislation falls short by failing to require a comprehensive traffic awareness, traffic alerting, and collision avoidance system that expands pilot situational awareness and provides earlier traffic alerting, which is enabled by a full ADS-B in-suite that is integrated to provide expanded oral and visual alerts in the air and on the surface," said ALPA President Captain Jason Ambrosi in a news release. To read his full statement, check the show notes. Last week, the Canadian North ALPA MEC announced it had reached a tentative agreement with Canadian North management after 6 months of negotiating their 7th collective agreement. Quote, "Until now, Canadian North pilots lagged behind other ALPA carriers in scheduling and compensation," said Canadian North MEC Chair First Officer Stephen Bard. "This tentative agreement recognizes the value of our specialized technical skill set, which is required to fly the rugged terrain and challenging weather conditions of the Canadian Arctic." The full release is linked in the show notes. The JetBlue ALPA MEC filed a lawsuit against JetBlue Airways late last week after management refused to fully arbitrate all aspects of a contractual grievance regarding the airline's Blue Sky arrangement with United Airlines. The lawsuit is not expected to affect ongoing contract negotiations. Quote, "We believe that JetBlue is playing games rather than living up to its obligation to resolve disputes. As a result, JetBlue pilots had no choice but to resort to court intervention to restore our rights and to compel JetBlue to fulfill its legal duties to arbitrate the pilot's grievance over Blue Sky, said Captain Wayne Scales, JetBlue ALPA MEC chair. Check the show notes to read more. ALPA pilots who flew for Comair Airlines, which also operated as Delta Express, took a stand 25 years ago today when they struck against inadequate wages and work rules in the regional commercial airline sector. The 1,350 Comair pilots, supported by ALPA, their families, and peers, went on strike March 26, 2001, holding the line for 89 days. Comair MEC Communications stated that Comair pilots were being paid as though they were flying turboprop aircraft for a tiny airline, rather than larger, longer-range regional jet aircraft for a substantial carrier that flew to 95 locations. Through their grit, determination, and sacrifices, Comair pilots paved the way for other pilot groups to make needed contract gains. For more about the Comair strike, check the show notes for the full article. That's all for this week's Fast Read podcast. Until next week, stay safe and have a nice flight.
This podcast is brought to you by the Airline Pilots Association. ALPA is pilot-led and staff-supported, and volunteer opportunities for pilot leaders and subject matter experts are at an all-time high. Training is available for many of the positions, so reach out to your MEC leaders and see where you can contribute.